Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. This is Summer Gathercole, and I will be facilitating the webinar today. This is a 12-part series that's sponsored by WorkLife Partnership on innovative work incentive practices. So what we're really trying to do is to highlight those non-traditional methods of incentivizing employees that various companies are offering across the U.S. Today's webinar is focused on XLT Ovens, and they're going to talk about how they've been able to help set up their employees for personal success through financial education. Some really, really impressive stuff and some impressive numbers, so excited to share it with you today. A few logistics before we jump into the details of our presentation today. All of the participants are on mute, so we did that to help eliminate some of that background noise. So if you have questions, we want to encourage you to go ahead and post them in the chat box. We will be monitoring the questions, and we'll ask them to the presenter at the end of her presentation today. We do want to encourage you to ask questions, so please do not hesitate to go ahead and put those questions in the chat box. And then the final thing is at the end of the presentation, at the end of the webinar today, we will ask you to complete a survey that takes literally 1 minute or less to complete. One randomly selected respondent will receive a $15 Amazon card. Just to give you a little incentive to go ahead and give us some feedback so we can keep that in mind for future webinars. So let me tell you a little bit about our presenter today. Kathy Jewett is the Human Resources Manager for XLT Ovens. She has almost 30 years of human resources management experience. So I think it's safe to say she's probably seen it all. I would say don't mess with her because she's a certified black belt in Six Sigma. And I have to share with you, as myself being a fellow dog lover, I am in awe of the fact that Kathy and her golden retriever, the queen of the family, which also includes the husband and children, Kathy and her golden retriever are a certified therapy team and visit hospitals and churches and other places wherever the love of a dog is needed. So I think that's really great. Kathy, we are so grateful for you taking the time to be here with us today and for sharing what you've been able to accomplish at XLT Ovens, which is really impressive. So I want to kick it over to you, and again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Summer. I appreciate it, and I'm pleased to be here. And good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. And I'll tell you a little bit about XLT Ovens. The legal name of our company is Wolf Electrics. We've been around for 60 years, but since 2000, we began designing and building conveyor ovens, mostly known as pizza ovens, and hood ventilation systems that are sold to the industries around restaurants. So if you've eaten a $5 hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars or Domino's, Pizza Hut, and lots of other restaurants, then you've eaten food that has been made out of our oven. We sell products to over 75 different countries, so lots of people eat pizza all around the world, and we're very grateful for that. We have 153 team members right now and have about 20 openings. We have a very aggressive growth and new product development plans for our future, so we're going to be adding all kinds of things that you see in restaurants. We have a very different kind of culture. Our recruiting philosophy is based on, we don't have employees, we have team members. And we're very, very picky about who those team members are. We take usually about 1 out of every 100 that apply. It's a rigorous process to become a team member. We hire for character and skill versus character and values instead of just for skill. Character and values you can't teach. Skill you can. So if they have the basic skills we need, we would rather teach them the skill, and we take advantage of the character and values because that's what makes our team so strong. We move with a purpose, which means we don't do anything slow. We make sure that we are on task, and everything that we do goes to our mission of making sure that we take care of our customers. And we're very passionate people who want to have fun. That's our first principle is have fun, to have fun with your job, with who you're working with. And if you're not, that's perfectly fine. I will help you find employment elsewhere because we want everybody to be 100% invested. We offer the standard slate of benefits that you will see there. Most of you are very familiar with these. The one that is different is the profit sharing plan, and that's the one that I'm going to talk about mostly today. Our owner and our president, he committed to share 25% of the annual profits with all team members every year. This is very substantial. It's very timely. I just announced this morning the value of the profit sharing for 2016 that will be paid now. This includes a maximum contribution that our owner can make by IRS law to our 401k plan, to each as individuals, and that was $15,000 for hourly and $30,000 for salary. So that was just announced today. And the balance of that 25% is cash. In our case, it was $19,000 in cash. So what do you do with paying $19,000 in cash to a 20 or 22-year-old? How do you ensure that they understand what to do with that and how to be responsible? Because in many cases, this profit sharing doubles a team member's pay. So we started looking at how do we teach responsibility when it comes to finances. So a lot of people have heard of Dave Ramsey. He's terrific. There's a program that's made just for employers. It's called Smart Dollar. It's available online and even on your mobile phone. So for all the millennials that just want to use their mobile phone, they can be hooked up with this program. And we'll talk about that here in just a second and what that means. And then in addition to that, be responsible with your money and then protect your money and protect your identity through LifeLock, identity theft program that we make available. We'll talk about that in just a second. Smart Dollar through Dave Ramsey is very simple. If you tell people they need to prepare for their future, for retirement, get out of debt, and save, have a hefty savings account, that is a daunting task. This program takes it step by step by step so that they can become financially well and financially successful. So it's a proven plan for success. There have been several million employees across the nation that have been participating in this. And it also includes an online budgeting tool. It's called Every Dollar. And it's connected to your bank account. So every time you make a purchase, you slide it over in one of the categories, because that's one of the biggest things is that people don't realize where their dollars go until it's too late or until all the dollars are gone. And this is a really simple and very effective tool. And it has very motivating content. If you've ever heard Dave Ramsey, he has radio programs. You can see him on TV. He's very, very motivating. It's very animated, and it's very entertaining. And it works. So step by step by step. Example, baby step number one is save $1,000 have an emergency fund of $1,000, because 70% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved back in case they have an emergency. So that's baby step one. The next step is making it available to employees at a very reduced cost, $1.74 per paycheck, and we get paid twice a month, is a LifeLock program that is made available not to the public but just to employers if they pay it by payroll deduction. And as you can see on the slide, you can see the two levels of a program. We pay for that first level, which is LifeLock Benefit Elite, and then if an employee wants to upgrade, then they can do so at a discounted rate, and they can also include their spouse and their children. It's very important that you protect the identity, especially of your minor children, because that's where hackers like to go. And especially in this day and age of what's going on at Equifax, it's even more important to lock down your identity and to protect you and your family. So financial wellness, why are we doing this? We believe that it's very important that you not overlook the financial wellness piece. We want all of our team members to be out of debt. Can you imagine how focused employees could be if they're not worried about how they're going to pay for this bill or this debt? And it also makes them better at work, and it also makes them a better partner, a better parent, and a better friend. So their personal and family life gets enriched as well. So how do we measure this? How do we measure this financial wellness, and is it making an impact? Our productivity will increase. Our absenteeism is reduced, as well as our turnover. So those are easy for us to track. Our biggest challenge has been to let, especially our younger people, we're a manufacturing facility, and we have in Wichita, and we have our average age is 34, which is very young for a manufacturing facility. So we need our people to understand that to whom much is given, much is expected. Our performance standards are very, very high. And so we have turnover, believe it or not, because some people just don't want to work that hard. And that's fine with us. But and I'll help them find a job someplace else. But they need to understand that to whom much is given, much is expected, and we do have a high standard for our performance. So if another company is interested in doing something like this, it's important to understand just a few things. First, financial wellness is that third piece of the stool. The first leg is your physical wellness, or is your health insurance. Your EAP takes care of the emotional side of a person. But this financial wellness is that important third leg in the stool. And having all three of those and understanding that balance is really important. And we believe that these benefits are not an expense. This is an investment. We're investing in people, and we're investing in their future, which also invests in us as a company. And we all win-win out of this. And employers these days must differentiate themselves from other employers in order to attract the most talented people. And this is just another one of the ways that we do that. And I strongly suggest you be very, very picky about what team members you hire onto your team, because it's an investment, and you need to invest that wisely. So that's a very quick overview of our profit sharing plan and the financial wellness that comes with it. So I'm open at this time, Summer, to any questions that anyone might have.
Great. Thanks, Kathy. And I have to tell you, those numbers are just mind-blowing. I mean, the profit sharing numbers that you shared, it sounds like that you shared with the team this morning, really impressive. So it sounds like it's definitely working. One of the questions that came in, and I think you might have touched upon it in the beginning, but can you remind folks how many team members you have in the company?
At this time, we have 153.
Okay. And is there kind of a breakdown that you can share between how many of them are full-time, or how many of them are hourly versus salary?
We have about 40 that are salaried, and the rest are hourly.
Okay. That's great. That's helpful to know. And then some other questions that have come in are along like, how long have you offered the Ramsey program, and how did you decide on Smart Dollar?
I heard about Smart Dollar from some other employers and through my association with some workforce development efforts that I'm involved in, and I've always followed Dave Ramsey, and I wasn't aware that he had a program specifically for employers called Smart Dollar. So it was an easy fit, and we're in our first year of Smart Dollar, but we have already about tripled the benchmark standards that Smart Dollar has for involvement in the program, participation, enrollment, and progression through the steps. So we have very validated positive results and people are telling us thank you, because they're saving money, they're getting out of debt, their marriage is improving, their partnerships are improving, because their financial wellness is improving as well.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, it takes out so much stress that we all have in our lives, right? So another question that's come in is that a lot of the smaller companies don't necessarily offer financial wellness, and so some people are curious, do you know if there's other firms or companies in your industry that are doing this kind of financial wellness and education?
We are the only ones in our industry that we know of. There are other manufacturers in Wichita, because we're in the middle of we're aerospace capital of the world. So there are some other machine shops and some other kind of aerospace-related companies that are using Smart Dollar, but the word hasn't gotten out about Smart Dollar. It's a very, very, very good investment. It was an investment for us of $5,500, and we can have up to 175 participants. So you break that down, and that's very, very economical and very much worth the investment.
Absolutely. So another question that's come in is someone who has shared that there are 6 million job openings in the U.S. right now, and unemployment is really, really low, which just means that as an employer, it's getting harder to be selective about who you're hiring. So the question was, are you hiring away from your competitors or other companies in your region? How are you, I know one of the things that you stressed is to be really, really picky about who do you hire. How are you doing that in this kind of economic environment right now?
In our area, since it is so aerospace heavy, the people that are involved and employed in the aerospace world are used to the ramp up, get hired, get trained, you make a lot of money, and then you get laid off, and then you start over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this cycle. And we also have a guarantee that you're not going to get laid off here. So that has its appeal. And so we use that as a differentiator. And it has worked. There are other people that have wanted to be employees here, but they just can't make it through the testing that we have. We want smart people that understand math and are good at using computers, because every position has it. We have robotics in our facility that nobody else in North America has. So it's very robotic, and so therefore we have to have smart people to operate those, which is why we go through several levels of testing before they become a team member.
Great. Good. We have lots of questions for you today. So another question that's come in is what approximate percentage of the employees participate in the Ramsey program? Is it voluntary? Do they do it on their own time? Do they do it during work time? So can you give us a little bit more detail about how all that works?
Sure. As I said, that we're very much tracking ahead of most companies that take on this program. Right now, we have 45% of our employees that are involved and are participating, and I get reports I can see who is participating and who isn't, but I get all kinds of metrics, and I request them every other Monday so I can see how we're tracking, how people are progressing through the steps, how many videos they're watching. So you see those kinds of benchmarks that you can see, and I track those metrics every other week. And so we're tracking very, very well. Most employers, after they've had it for like a year, they're doing well if they're at 30%. Well, we're into about 6 months into our first year, and we're already at 45%. So we feel really good about that. It is voluntary, although we've already paid for their seat. So I can't make it mandatory unless I allow them to use company time to go on there. But if you get stopped by a train, you can watch a video. No videos last more than 15 minutes. So you can watch a 5-minute video on your phone, and that racks up participation points for that individual. So there's no excuse not to do it. You can do it on your computer. You can do it on your phone. You can do it at home. Even your spouse can have your sign on and participate as well.
Great. So just on that note then, one other question was, what do you attribute to just that high participation rate? 45% for the first year is a high number. It's really impressive. I mean, why do you think you're so much higher than the average? What's the secret sauce?
Right. Dave Ramsey and the Smart Dollar program, they provide all kinds of education, all kinds of materials for the employer to use. So the employer can choose to do a lot of continual marketing and education, or you don't. And if you don't, you're not going to have that high percentage. I put out a new communication every single week, and they're really fun, easy things like the 4 things that blow your budget the most. So it'll list 4 simple things. And I have those kind of communications that go out every week. They're posted on the boards, and then I always have a section in our monthly newsletter. So they're constantly being bombarded and reminded about this service. When we rolled out the profit sharing today, I said there's, the first step is saving $1,000, $19,000 cash. Then our owner just gave you 19 emergency funds. So and everybody kind of laughed because most people are past that stage, but you have to continually work at it and continually train and put out communication, or your percentage will not be very high.
Got it. So it sounds like being proactive on your end really helps to make that big difference.
Yes, that's part of making the investment, because we're investing in our people, which invests in our future. And if we can get them not worrying about paying their bills, then productivity on the job goes up quite dramatically.
Sure. So we had another question come in of just around the makeup of your workforce. And so someone was wondering, what share of your workforce has a BA or more? So what share of the workforce has a bachelor's or more?
We have a very, very strong internal promotion program. The majority of our managers started out as operators, started out as assembly operators. And so they've kind of grown in the job. A lot of the other positions that are very technical, HR, IT, accounting, those were brought in from the outside. All of those individuals have a BA or more. But overall, I would say it was only about 15% that have a BA or above.
Okay.
But we do have tuition reimbursement, and we will pay for it, for their education.
That's fantastic. So going back to the financial wellness program, so there's someone is curious about whether the program can be tailored needs. Got it. Great. So we've got time for one last question. And Kathy, I'm actually just curious, from your perspective, in rolling out, financial wellness, is there anything that you tried that you found didn't work at all, that wasn't successful?
What I found is that when you're talking about financial wellness, overall, you need to be face-to-face. When we first just rolled it out, and we're going to have meetings later, we didn't get very much traction. And we knew that. We just wanted to get the message out. And then when I met with small groups of team members together, we had the opportunity for them to ask questions. That's when it really made it take some traction. And that works much better. So you just need to do that small group communication one-on-one.
Got it. Okay. And so, Kathy, I'm sorry, I have to ask you to just go back for a minute. So I had asked you that question about the older workers versus the younger workers having different financial needs and whether the program could be tailored. I guess we lost audio there for a minute during your answer. So could you just share again what you had shared about how it is tailored to those different workers and their needs?
Great. Yes. This program it doesn't have to be tailored to each individual. Because the program itself is tailored because it's a self-paced program. So the more mature and older worker that is more financially secure, they're going to blow through those steps quickly and get up to those higher level steps, which some of the younger workers might not make it up there while we're offering the program. So it doesn't have to be tailored to individual groups. It tailors itself to the individual.
Got it. That's great. That's helpful. And thank you for sharing that information again. So that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Kathy, thank you so much for spending the time to be with us today, for going over so many of those details. It sounds like first of all, it's just a stellar program, and it really seems to be working for you. So very, very cool. So thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome.
And yeah, good. And then for those of you who are still with us, please go ahead and complete the online survey that you'll see momentarily. It does take about a minute or less to complete. And want to encourage you all to join us at our next webinar, which is October 5th at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And during that webinar, we'll be hearing from Patagonia and how their on-site childcare has really led to some improved productivity within their workforce. So hope to see you then. And again, thanks, Kathy, for being with us today. And everyone enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Take care.